Hello, I'm Chuck Rowe, and to my left is Pam Hartley. We're both members of the Paradise Citizens Alliance and will be conducting today's interview. Welcome to our Paradise Citizens Alliance interviews of candidates running for local, nonpartisan elective offices serving our greater Paradise community. These interviews are meant for you, the voters, to learn more about the candidates, their positions on the issues, and to encourage you to vote on November the 8th. By voting, you're exercising one of your greatest rights and privileges as a citizen in this democracy. All these interviews will be posted on our website at paradiseca.org for you, the voter, to access online and to view from October the 8th right up to the election on November the 8th. And with that, I'd like to introduce Melissa Crick, who is running for Paradise Unified School District's Board of Trustees. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you.
And why don't you we'll just lead off and you tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, my background specifically related to the school board is that...
Any kind of background, yeah, anything you want to share.
Well, I have 3 children in the district. I have 3 little girls, 2 7th graders and a 5th grader. I work full-time for a local...
Actual twins? Or?
No, I have a stepdaughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Second family. So I married my daughter's best friend's dad. Let's put it that way. So 3 excellent students, straight A girls, which is part of why I'm so interested in being involved in the district. They're a product of PUSD, and I'm very proud of that. I work full-time for a local nonprofit, and so that limits my involvement in the school in daytime hours. And so I was interested in picking up a little bit more and thought that this would be the perfect venue for that.
Great, thank you.
Melissa, would you please tell us why did you decide to run for school board?
I think I covered a little of that. Like I said, I have 3 girls in the schools, specifically in the Magalia schools. So I'm sure most folks are familiar with the proposed reconfiguration last year. And through that process, I realized pretty quickly that we have a bit of a lack of representation of the upper ridge kids. And I think sometimes it feels a little us and them in the district. And so I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had, either an individual or individuals on the board that could represent Paradise Unified as a unified district, because that's really what it should be, and I don't think that it should feel like Upper Ridge and Paradise students. In addition to that, I want to make sure that I'm taking every step possible to ensure that not only my children, but all of the children in PUSD have every opportunity for the best possible educational experience. I really feel that to ensure that for my daughters, I've got to ensure it for the district. And so here I am.
Melissa, what do you see as the biggest challenges facing the Paradise Unified School District both now and in the future?
I think that there are a number of challenges. I think budget is a big one. We're looking at some big changes. I'm sure you're familiar with 55. If it doesn't go through, that's a huge financial impact for the district. I think with the changing atmosphere as far as the charter schools and different learning opportunities that have been offered, online learning, half-day learning, that sort of thing, I think the district is looking at big changes there. And I think we have to be very careful how we navigate that moving forward so that we're inclusive to all children, but still mindful of how that's going to work for the children in the public schools.
Melissa, what changes would you like to see implemented to improve the district and better prepare our students for the global economy?
Oh gosh, do you have a few hours?
We'll take your time.
I would like to see a number of things, starting with, I think we need to increase counseling on campuses. We're seeing an increase, especially within my campuses. At my daughter's school, we're seeing an increase in behavioral issues and a lack of support for those issues. We're seeing problems with teachers not seeing support in that. They're being asked to keep these kids in the classroom, or there's limited counseling on campus. We have an issue on a Tuesday, but the counselor's not here till Thursday, so let's talk about it then. And obviously that's not an effective situation. With these issues, it's something that we really need to be addressing when it comes up, and not the next day or days after. As I mentioned before, the separation in the district, it does feel very us and them sometimes, and I think that that's a very dangerous situation to put the district in, and certainly the students in, because it becomes a competition of my school versus your school rather than our schools. I think that we need to improve community involvement. I've said over the years many times that I feel like our greatest untapped resource as PUSD are the parents in the community. We do not see enough involvement, and I'm not really sure why, but I would love to sort of look at that and kind of see how we can enhance that, because I think that a school does no better than when you have pride in the community. You know, when everybody feels like these are our schools, our campuses. We see less vandalization on the campuses. We see less, issues with the kids when their parents are coming onto the campuses every day. There's sort of ownership and buy-in that I feel like we have a lack of right now. So I think that it would be beneficial for all parties to address that. That's probably higher on
Very
my
good.
priority list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. An overwhelming majority of the district students are failing to meet state standards in grade level proficiency in English and math. What do you believe needs to be done specifically to turn this situation around for the better?
Within PUSD, I think the most beneficial approach would be to unite the schools. I've said many times over the last years, I don't know why my daughter's teachers in Magalia are not meeting with the teachers in Paradise, especially for the Magalia schools. A lot of times we have one teacher teaching one subject, and so it's most beneficial, we've seen in the past, for teachers to meet with their peers and sort of discuss what they're doing, what's successful, what they've tried and have not tried. And so when you have one teacher overseeing an entire subject, that's really not much of a peer group. And so I think bringing those schools together and making sure that we're teaching the same curriculum across the district, which is actually what we're supposed to be doing. But of course, different teachers take different training. It comes across a little better for every teacher. They're slower in learning it, slower in implementing it. And so if we could see more of a unity across the district and how we're addressing these things, I think that would improve. I also think that we need, again, more buy-in from parents. If we could have, Cedarwood was always famous for doing the parent tutor classes and teaching the parents, not just the students, because we know things are changing from when we were in school. Common Core is a big one. That was a tough one for me. It took a few tutoring lessons before I felt comfortable helping my girls with those things. And now we'll have kids over, the neighbor kids and the cousins to the house, and we'll do the Google Common Core classes. So again, I think just making sure that we're bringing all parties in. Another one that I feel pretty strongly about is limiting homework. We've seen in the past, when we put too much on the kids after school, we see lesser, achievement in terms of homework, and that's a huge percentage of the grade. It can be 25 to 50% sometimes. So, and you're talking about students that are going home from school, a lot of them participating in after school programs and then sports programs. My own daughters were out till almost 9 o'clock 3 nights a week with softball during part of the school year. And so moving into Pine Ridge this year, that was one of the things they implemented. Less homework, more study times built into the regular school day. They have now study classes, which has been very beneficial. They come home looking for less help. They're more informed, they're willing to help each other. And so I think that we have some steps in place. We just need to make sure that we're continuing to focus on those and building on those blocks that we've set forth.
Very good. Melissa, what's your assessment of the district's financial situation?
Well, I think that we could be in real trouble very shortly if 55 doesn't go through, obviously. I think that we need to look at our deficit spending very seriously and maybe brainstorm some ways to move out of that. I'm sure that that's been done with many board members before me, but I like to think that I could bring some impact to that. I couldn't speak too specifically without more knowledge of the budget. I'm just learning it. But I do think that we need to be very careful how we move forward with the impact that the charters have and with the impact that we could potentially see from 55. And like I said, the deficit spending.
Melissa, what's your position with regards to free school choice for parents in our community?
I think it's very valuable. I think that the public school system doesn't fit every child. I've seen this time and again. I work with homeless youth on the Ridge and different outreach programs. And I think a lot of times it becomes a situation of trying to fit that round peg into that square hole. It doesn't work. And so rather than losing that child or seeing that child move on to other districts, I think it's very innovative of our district to be offering other options. We're doing now in Magalia the half-day, full-day online classes. We see the charters are becoming more successful. That's not a path that I've chosen for my students, but I think that it's very valuable for the students that find that path and are successful in it. And if given the opportunity to lose a child to another district or have a lack of attendance, I think, more choice is always a better option for parents.
Melissa, an application for a new charter high school by Achieve Charter School has been submitted to the PUSD School Board. What's your position, if any, with regards to this proposed charter high school?
This is an interesting question. As I mentioned, I have many nieces, nephews, family friends that are in charter, and I think that the charters are an incredibly valuable asset to our district. However, in looking at the numbers and the potential impact of the charter high school on our local high school, I think that this is something that we need to move forward with very slowly and make sure that we're in careful communication with the charters and that we're doing this as a partnership, and again, not an us and them. We look at potentially losing as many as 100 students a year. That's a huge financial impact for our high school. Huge, and somewhere near 400,000 is a number that I've heard. But I think we have to be mindful that we would be potentially losing these children anyway. I've heard many times from my family and friends that, you know, if we don't have this charter up here, my kids are going to go to charter in Chico. So again, it has to become a situation of looking at, do we lose those children, or do we make options that fit those children as well? What that looks like for our budget, I'm not sure, but I'd love to be involved and, you know, see how I could help figure out those sorts of things.
Good, thank you.
Well, Melissa, this is your opportunity to talk to the voters directly and tell them why they should support you on November the 8th for the Board of Trustees.
I get this question a lot from family and friends. Why are you doing this? You know, what is your thought behind this? And I say time and again, it has to do with more specifically my children, but all the children in the district. I think that to be successful, we need every parent to be doing their very best for their students and all of the students as a whole, so that we offer the best possible district for our students. I realize that I'm probably more in the less experienced category as far as board members, but I am enthusiastic, I am eager, and I am personally vested in the success of this district. So I think, you know, anytime you have a mom on a mission, that's a pretty good thing, and that's exactly what I am.
Melissa,
Good.
thank you so much for coming today. We very much appreciate
Thank you. Thanks
having
for
a chance to
coming.
meet you
Yes.
and talk to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.